must be anchored on mutual respect and the inviolability of our sovereignty and independence. We are not against any country or race, but we demand absolute respect for our religious values from all nations, regardless of size, race, wealth, or ideology.
President Jammeh's message also denounced some West ideologies such as the homosexuality and gay rights. This, it went on, is ungodly and against the Gambian culture. Practitioners of such activities have no place in the Gambia, the message explains. As the Gambia celebrates 49th year of independence, President Jammeh urged the citizenry to remain patient as the Gambia's mineral resources will soon launch the Gambia out of poverty into eternal prosperity and economic superpower. Activities subsided with performance staged by the country's cultural groups, among them the Jola performers. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
The Gambia Armed Forces hereby informs the general public that it would conduct a series of live firing exercises for Recruit Intake 33B at the Lance Corporal Bojang's Range in Brikama from Thursday 28 February to Sunday 23 February 2014, starting at 600 hours daily. The general public, especially residents living around the range in Brikama and its satellite villages, are cautioned to avoid the designated area on the above-mentioned dates. The National Center for Arts and Culture last week tabled documents bearing the institution's audited account and financial statements to the PACPEC Committee of the National Assembly. As Pamarakani reports, NCAC is in dire need of financial assistance to boost its capacity in preserving the cultural heritage of the country.
Continues to play a significant role in the development of a nation. In this 21st century where acculturation and modern technologies dominate the African continent, maintaining the cultures and traditions of a nation, region or continent may be very hectic. Therefore, custodians of such a very concentrated sector need funds and modern approaches to register success along the line. The National Center for Arts and Culture tabled their audited account and financial statement before the PACPEC committees of the National Assembly. The center has been mandated by the government to coordinate the rich cultures of the Gambia through human cultural development and archiving of historical documentation for the younger generation. The underfunded institution has also been in the struggle to shoulder the huge tax vested on them. Sitting before the PACPEC Committee of the lawmakers, gave the Director General of the institution to lay his constraints and demand urgent support from the Assembly for the survival of the institution and the lifting of its production capabilities.
Like in previous years, some projects were implemented whilst the groundwork was laid for projects for the following year. In terms of human resources, 2012 saw an amelioration of the staffing constraints with the appointment of 3 new senior staff, which certainly reinvigorated the institution. But the staffing complement still needs to be reinforced, as the few staff available are very well overburdened and hardly go on leave.
Reacting to the financial limbo of the institution, lawmakers went through its report and made unanimous comments and suggestions with regards to ways of solving the institution's problem and giving enough subvention to steer their survival. The unanimity of parliamentarians and the NCAC as custodians of the cultural heritage of the Gambia shows their love for the rich cultures of the nation.
You have a huge mandate to execute. You are an advisory organ mandated with the responsibility of all matters dealing with Gambian arts and culture. And the mandate is not matched, as we have discussed, the resources available. But whilst we advocate for an increased allocation, we will also encourage you to tighten your internal controls system, which will put you in a better standing. Gambia has a rich and beautiful culture which we want to protect, which we want to preserve.
Why is it that tourists cannot be visiting these areas? It is important that you work with tour guides. It's important because they are people, who can also facilitate in this issue.
The NCAC stands on a very good footing to make clear all that can overshadow their way to get the needed subvention from the Assembly to reach to the expected level of delivery and cultural preservation using modern technologies. Famarakani, Grts News.
Time now to take our first break. We'll be back with news from outside the Gambia. Welcome back. 2 people are reported dead and 30 others injured after hundreds of protesters clashed with police in Conakry. Residents of the capital are angered by the frequent power outages. Reacting to the violent incident, the governor of Conakry warned demonstrators that the police and the gendarmes will be ordered to deal with unruly behaviors in the streets. We have more in this report.
Hundreds of people have descended onto the streets to denounce the power cuts in Conakry that have plunged the city into the dark for 3 months now. Police and youths confront one another. A police vehicle surrounded by demonstrators has crushed a demonstrator. A policeman was then killed. 2 are confirmed dead, 30 wounded. Eyewitnesses and protesters are extremely angry.
How many months have we been without electricity? We're tired of being in the dark.
We've had no power for 4 months. We're tired. We ask Alpha Condé for help. Our kids who go to school can't revise for their exams. They cannot refuse. The authorities haven't kept their promise to fix the power breakdown. Yesterday, feeling the mounting anger, the governor of Conakry warned demonstrators, who he suspects are being manipulated by the opposition.
We are going to give orders to the police force. At the least public disorder, people will be arrested and put on trial. Playtime is over.
About 15 districts of the capital are suffering power cuts. The inhabitants of Conakry are denouncing the leadership's contemptuous attitude, ignoring their exasperation.
Relation between the ruling CNDD party and the opposition Uprona party is at its lowest ebb. The government of President Pierre Nkurunziza has warned the Tutsi-dominated party of holding what it calls illegal demonstration. This comes shortly after police used force to disperse an Uprona demonstration. We have more in this report.
Become a daily saga, followed very closely by the local press. The crisis between the government CNDD party and the Uprona, the main Tutsi party now in the opposition, is worsening. On Monday in Bujumbura, the ministers of the Interior, Public Security, Justice and National Defense were sounding tough. The 4 heavyweights of the government sent out a warning. The forces of order and security and the administration backed by the Justice Ministry will never tolerate anyone making threats and holding illegal demonstrations under the pretext that there are problems within the Uprona party. The warning by the government came the day after the brutal dispersal of a gathering of supporters of the faction of Uprona that does not support the government. At least 3 party activists and 2 policemen were injured during the clashes in Bujumbura. The disproportionate use of force by the police provoked a wave of protest.
People are dying. I cannot keep silent. I am the deputy from this town, and I must speak for these people. If you want to arrest me, do it. I am ready to die for the interests of the people.
The Uprona party has been divided into 2 factions since the end of January. The faction recognized by the government has just elected Konsiri Nibigira as its president. She was presented on Friday to party activists at the same time as the new vice president of Burundi, named by head of state Pierre Nkurunziza.
Syrian government forces and rebel fighters in parts of the Damascus suburb